Welcome to the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. I am Caleb Jones, as usual. And just so you know, I have another podcast called the Sovereign CEO Podcast. We talk about location-dependent business, 5 flags, moving to different countries, things like that. And if you're interested in that, that is at calebjones.com/podcast. You can subscribe over there. And also, if you are listening to this podcast, there is a video version of this podcast on YouTube and all of the usual alt tech platforms like Rumble and Odyssey and things like that. And so if you prefer to watch the video versions of these, you can go to alphamale20.com/links. And that gives you all the links for all the social media sites I'm on for both Alpha Male 2.0 and Sovereign CEO. And you can hit the websites there. In Alpha Male 2.0, I talk about mission. I talk about this a lot. I cover this a lot in The Unchained Man, my primary book at alphamalebook.com. And that is the meaning behind your life, why you live. It is not the meaning of life, it is the purpose behind your life. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you go to work? Why do you do the work? And if your answer is to pay my bills, you're fucked. You can't live a lifestyle of long-term masculine happiness, and certainly not long-term freedom, if the only reason you work is because I have to pay my bills. You need bigger reasons than that. And that's also why the vast majority of men, not all men, but the vast majority of men will never be truly happy if you have a job. Because if you have a job versus your own business, you're working for someone else's dreams, you're working under someone else's agenda, you're working under someone else's schedule and priorities, not your own dreams, goals, schedules, priorities. I've been self-employed now for I think 25 years. And so I've been working the last 25 years on my own goals, my own objectives, my own life, and my own purpose. And that would not be possible, I promise you, if I had a job working for a company. Even if it was a really cool company, even if it was location independent job, I promise you, I would not have the purpose that I have now. And why is a mission so important? Why is that? I've talked about this in my other context, but to describe this to you, if all you have are goals are critical too, but if all you have are goals, one of two things are going to occur. Either A, you'll never hit your goals because you're setting the goals for frivolous reasons. I want a Lamborghini because it looks cool. I want a Lamborghini because I need to get chicks. And so obviously no one will have sex with me unless I have a Lamborghini. This stupid incel mindset propagated by things like Instagram and things like that. If that's why you work for these surface level goals, these shallow goals, the odds are much lower you will hit the goals. In other words, if you make an average income or a low income and your goal is to get a Lamborghini because you want to look cool on Instagram, because you want to impress girls, the odds of you doing the work necessary to earn the money to buy that Lamborghini, okay, are much less than if you say, I want a Lamborghini because cars is a deep meaning for my life. I am a car guy. I'm like Jay Leno. I'm all about cars. I've worshiped the Lamborghini since I was in high school. I've thought about it nonstop since then. And having a Lamborghini, experiencing that vehicle from behind the wheel is a big component of my life. Richard Cooper is really into cars, for example. Then, because that goal has much deeper meaning for you, it is now much more likely that you will actually do the work necessary to work the extra time, to start the businesses, to do those things, to get the money, to get that Lamborghini. Make sense? In both those hypothetical scenarios, both those hypothetical men have the same goal, and they want the goal. One guy wants it for shallow, stupid, bullshit, immature reasons. One guy wants it for deep, meaningful, purpose-driven reasons, which means the second guy is more likely to accomplish that goal. Okay? That's the reason, first reason you have a mission. Here's the second reason. This is less likely, but it happens a lot. And you have heard this from me. You have heard this from, if you study lots of self-help gurus or business gurus, you've heard it from just about all of them. And they all tell a similar story, just like I tell a similar story. And in general, the story goes like this. I wanted to make a lot of money when I was a young man. So when I was a young man, I busted my ass. I built a business. I made millions of dollars. And by the time I was 27 or 32 or 38 or 41, cool, I retired because now I had all the money in the world I wanted and it was great. And I retired and I sat around and did nothing and my life suddenly started to suck. For a while it was fun, but then I got bored, I got depressed. In some cases I got fat, my relationship suffered. I had all kinds of dysfunctional problems. So then I finally said, oh my God, I should go back into the business world and start a new business. This time I'll start a business, one I want, one that has meaning and passion for me. And then I built this second business that made me very happy. Okay. So you've heard that story 1,000 times. I've heard that story for 1,000 people, not 1,000 people, but many, many people, famous success gurus, as well as multimillionaires I personally know and have worked with. I've heard that same story over and over again. And the reason they had that problem is because they had goals, but they didn't have a mission. Okay. They had desires, but they didn't have purpose. You need both. You need desires and purpose. Desire is easy. And if you're a hardworking guy, you're a motivated guy like I am, you'll probably accomplish your goals and you'll do what I did. I had that version of that story myself. Here's the summarized version of my version of that story. I grew up in not a poor family, but a very financially strapped family in the 70s and early to mid 80s before my dad started getting a little money. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, a former nun. That's true. My dad was a low-income worker. He worked for the state of Oregon. And he made a very low income and he had 5 children. So my dad supported a family of 7 on his one meager low income. He was the last generation of men, older. He wasn't a baby boomer. He was between a baby boomer and the World War II generation, one of those kind of middle generations. But he was the last generation of men who was able to do that, have a low income and still support a family. So he was able to do it, but barely. We had very little clothing when I was a kid. I've talked before about how at Christmas we'd get 3 presents, if that. So it sucked and I hated it. And that really formed a lot of my personality where I wanted more money and my family never had it. Now, later in life, when my dad started his own business and eventually he became successful, he became a self-made multimillionaire. Very proud of him, but it took him 35 years to do it. And by the time he really got into some decent money, I was already moved out of the house. I started getting a higher income when I was in high school, but by the time I was 18, I moved out, and so I wouldn't benefit that. My younger siblings, I'm those of 5 kids, and I have one brother who's older from my dad's first marriage. My dad has been married 3 times. My younger siblings benefited from my dad and mom having more money when they were older once I had moved out, but I didn't. And so I went out into the work world at age 18. I did not go to college. I did not even graduate high school. I was 2 credits short. My mom was very upset. And I was extremely motivated to make a lot of money. I said, I am not going to live like this. I'm going to make money come hell or high water. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to fucking do it. And when I moved out at age 18, once again, I was poor. I've talked about this before. There were months I could not put gas in my car. I purposely paid my utility bill, specifically my electric bill, 4 months late because I figured out you could pay it up to like 127 days late without them shutting off your electricity. I had all these tricks. I used to go to the grocery store to buy a few meals worth of food just to feed me for the next few days. I still remember feeling this way. I remember standing at the checkout counter, giving them my student Visa card with a $300 limit on it that they only give to college students. But I went to community college for 6 weeks. So while I was at community college, I said I was in college. And so I got this credit card because I had no money. So I'd use this credit card to buy food. And it was a credit limit of $300. And I remember hoping that the card would go through and not be declined so I could eat food that night. And I lived like that. I said, oh my God, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I've got to make a lot of money. So I sat down, put my head down, and I busted my ass. And I set a goal in high school around age 18, a 10-year goal to make $100,000 a year. Now, this is a long time ago. This is, early 1990s when I did this, late 80s, early 90s. So $100,000 back then was a lot of money. I said, okay, I want to make $100,000 by the time I'm 28. And those of you who know my story, I worked very hard. I worked for a software company for a while. Then I worked as an associate junior consultant for a small consulting firm. Then I quit that business and started my own consulting practice, fucked around and did a lot of things wrong, almost filed bankruptcy. And by the time I was 27 years old, 9 years later, I was making a 6-figure income in 1990s dollars and living pretty well. So I actually exceeded my goal by 1 year. And I did this because I was motivated and because I wanted these things and I had very specific goals. I did all the stuff that Tony Robbins said to do and all the, the gurus back then, Brian Tracy, all the 1990s era, success gurus. I listened to cassette tapes in my car. I did all that stuff and it worked. It did work for me, but I worked hard. I had stuff on my bathroom mirror. I make $100,000 a year and this is how I'm going to do to make the money and all the Napoleon Hill stuff. I did all that stuff. And I would have buddies come over to my little apartment and they'd use the bathroom and they'd see the wall. They go, what the fuck is this? You make $100,000 a year? Yeah, right. I said, I don't make it now, but I will. And I did. So I had goals and I was motivated, and I was actually motivated. I wanted the money because I didn't want to experience the financial lack I experienced early on in my life. But I did not have a mission. I made the same mistake as all these other success gurus and millionaires who made a lot of money in their 20s or 30s. I made the exact same mistake. I had goals, but I had no purpose behind the goal. None. I just wanted the money because I wanted the money because I didn't want to be poor. That was it. That's not purpose. That's a shallow reason to want money. I didn't say it's a bad reason, but it's not a deep, meaningful, purpose-driven reason. I used to do visualizations. I still do this. I'm a little better at this now, but I used to visualize, my ideal life when I was in my early 20s. And I said, by the time I'm 28, I want to have a six-figure income, a profitable business. I want a cute blonde wife. I want 2 children. I want a girl and a boy. I want a house on the beach. I want a big fancy house. And literally by the time I was 28, I had all those things exactly as I visualized, except the house wasn't on the beach. Instead, it was on top of a mountain, which was fine. So I literally had all those things. I literally accomplished all my life goals that I had by the time I was in my late 20s, 28, 29, somewhere in there. I mean, literally down to the kids. 2 kids, a boy and a girl. I literally got that. Cute blonde wife, had all that stuff. Okay. Then, as many of you know, if you know my story, around age 28, 29, I just said, okay, I guess I'm done. I've accomplished everything. I guess I'm done. And because I had no mission and I had no purpose, a number of things occurred. Number one, I lost the fire. I lost the passion for life. I just kind of was like a robot and just went through the motions of working. There was no real passion or reason or motivation behind my work. I guess I got to work now. Why do I work? I don't know. I don't know why. I got plenty of money. I don't know. And so that happened. And so I started gaining weight. My marriage, this is my first marriage, suffered strongly. It was the most unhappy time of my life. I went through this for several years, almost 5 years, I believe, like age 20 to about age 23-ish or so. And then the day finally came where I was so unhappy and so miserable. And I've told this story 1,000 times. I'm not going to tell it again real fast. I grabbed my laptop. I took the day off work. I went to a park. It was a beautiful summer day. And I went outside on this picnic table in this beautiful park, and I whipped open the laptop and I wrote out my perfect life in terms of my actual meaning for my life. I wrote all this out, and I realized that the life I really wanted and the reason I wanted it was not the life that I had. And I had started attaching deep meaning to why I wanted these goals. I said, I'm not going to make this mistake again. I'm not going to say I'm going to make more money because I want more money because I want to be rich. That's not a deep meaning. Why do I want to live? What is the purpose behind my life? And I wrote out a few basic ideas. I later solidified them and clarified them. It took me a few years to do this. And then I found my mission. And then I had to make a transition that was very painful. I got divorced. I completely revamped my businesses. Actually, I had one business back then. So I completely revamped the business, made it more lean and mean. Not location independent, but less overhead, so less hours per week, but more money. Made a number of transitions in my life. I had a lot of debt, paid off all my debt, started getting a real net worth going, a lot of things. And once the transition was over, I was on fire again. And I found my meaning again, actually for the first time. So I really didn't have any meaning in my life until I was really about 34, 35 years old. It's kind of embarrassing to say, but it's true. I had success in my life, but I didn't have any meaning. And that I am 50 now. So for the past 15 years, I have been 100% on mission. And I have accomplished things in my life that I never thought I would accomplish. Things obviously in my woman life, beyond my wildest dreams as a teenager. And I've said this before, and it's true. If I were to go back in time to myself in my teenage years or early 20s, and I told him a typical week of my sex life with pictures and video of the women, he wouldn't believe me. He said, "Oh, there's no way in hell. Come on, shut up." So I wouldn't believe me. That's how good it is. Financially, I make more money now than I ever planned on ever making, literally, more than any of the goals I ever set. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but the primary reason for that is I have a mission now. I'm working not just for my goals, but my goals are all attached to a mission, which means that I can go like this for the rest of my life. See, that's the problem with goals. You hit the goal, then what? Then what? I mentioned on a prior podcast or prior video, one of my advisors telling me, don't call them goals, call them milestones. Because you hit the goal, then what? So I have goals. I still have them. I've always had goals. Okay, I still have those, but this time they're attached to a mission. And a mission, unlike a goal, is something you can't achieve. So if you've read The Unchained Man, alphamalebook.com, if you've read that book, there's an entire chapter on how to develop your mission. And one of the key differences between a mission and a goal is that a goal has a specific endpoint. I want to make $100,000 a year. I want to be worth $1 million, or I want to have sex with 100 girls. It's a specific numerical objective, ideally by a specific date. And then once you hit that objective, the goal is done. You're done now. You're done. You have to set a new goal or just sit on your ass, right? Missions cannot be accomplished because a mission is not a goal. A mission is a purpose. It's a statement of purpose. Why do I work? Why do I exist? You can't accomplish a mission. That's why you have to be careful about assigning numbers in your mission. Now, I have one number in my mission, but I've worded it correctly where it's not an end game objective. It's a number that can last me forever. By the way, if you want to know what my mission is, I've said it before. It's not a secret. I will give you my mission, but this is the proviso. Don't copy my mission, please. The reason I kept this secret for so long is because when I give out things like this, guys copy them. You are not me. So please, for the love of God, do not copy this. It'll make you very unhappy because you're not me, okay? Unless you're my clone. If you're my clone, if you're just like me, okay, then you can copy it. You're not, though, okay? You're different, okay? So you don't want my mission. But this will give you an example of the format to use. My mission, see if I can remember it by memory. If not, I'll look it up over here. As a man who is the ideal example of long-term masculine happiness in health, relationships, financially, and in business, I will continue to help 1 million men lead a lifestyle of long-term consistent happiness. And through this, you know what, hang on, let me bring it up really fast. I want to get it right. I don't want to say it wrong. Okay, as a man who is the ideal example of long-term masculine happiness financially, in business, with physical health, and with relationships, I will continue to help 1 million men achieve and maintain a life of long-term consistent happiness. From this, and from businesses that help both men and companies, I have functionally unlimited wealth to do whatever I want and explore the entire world. Now that's my mission. Please don't copy it. That's not your mission, okay? That's my mission. That's why I work. That's why I set the goals that I set. Every word of that mission has deep spiritual meaning for me, okay? Now I do say 1 million men, but I don't say my goal is to help 1 million men, because once you have 1 million men, that's a goal, then what? So it says, I will continue to help 1 million men. Now, what it should say in there is, I will continue to help at least 1 million men. Okay, I want to limit myself to 1 million, but I can continue to help 1 million men for the rest of my life. Okay, instead of saying on my mission, I will make $1 million. What happens if you make $1 million? That's a goal. Okay, so anyway, that's my mission, and that mission is the starting point for all the goals I have in my life, in all the areas of my life. My woman goals, of which I don't have any anymore, we're not really, because I've accomplished all those. See how that works? If you're good, you'll accomplish all your goals, but then what? In my business goals, my financial goals, my fitness goals, my lifestyle goals, places I want to go, places I want to visit, I talk in there about exploring the entire world. That is a very strong motivator for me because I love to travel. I have all these places I still haven't gone yet that I want to go and want to experience. The fact that I want to be the example of long-term consistent masculine happiness in all the respects where it matters, not just with money, not just with chicks, not just with six-pack abs, not just one area, which is what most guys do. Most guys, they do goals and they don't have a mission. They focus on one area. Okay, they focus on chicks, they focus on money, or they focus on getting ripped, and that's it. That's the focus, and that's okay for goals. It's not okay for mission. Okay, mission has to be pretty comprehensive, ideally. Now, my mission revolves around finances. So it talks about I have functionally unlimited wealth. You don't have to have a financial mission if you don't want to. I get this question a lot. Caleb, I'm not motivated by money. Can I have a mission that is more focused on like spirituality or like giving back or art? Yes, your mission can be whatever you want. Again, don't copy my mission. Some of you guys don't give a fuck about money. Some of you guys are money-hungry motherfuckers like I am. So if you love money, put that in your mission. If you don't give a shit about money, I personally know a bunch of guys who don't give a shit about money. I have a brother who he's in his late 40s and he doesn't really have any money. He doesn't care. He's perfectly happy. He sleeps on friends' couches. He doesn't care. He's more of a hippie type guy. I'm not like that. I need a lot of money. But if you don't care about money, have a mission that has nothing to do with money. Fine. Do whatever you want. But find the meaning of your life so that then when you set goals, two things occur. The opposite of what I said at the beginning of this podcast. Number one, you are much more likely to hit your goals because your goals now have real deep purpose and emotional drive instead of just, I want to get laid or I want a cool car. Make sense? You can still set those goals, by the way. okay? If you want a Lamborghini badly, don't let me tell you that that's a dumb goal, okay? But attach it to something that has real purpose for your life. And if it doesn't have purpose, switch the goal around and make it slightly different or very different. That's number one. Number two, you will never reach the point in your life where you've accomplished everything and then you get depressed and fat and turn into a dork. You'll never have that problem because your mission lasts forever. That mission I just gave you will last me for the rest of my life, into my 90s. If I live past 100, into my hundreds, that mission will keep on going because it's not a goal. Goals are finite, missions are forever, ideally. Now, a few notes on mission. And this is something I don't have in my Unchained Man book. This is something I've changed since I wrote that book. And as soon as I can get the time, I will update that book because I think it's time now for perhaps maybe an updated version in some respects. The book is still valid. I wrote it to be evergreen, so it's still good. I was just reading the other day. I'm like, this is good stuff. But anyway, if you are under the age of 30, you do not need to set up a mission yet. You just need to be aware that you need to have greater purpose behind your goals. Because formulating a mission is hard. It's difficult. When you're 22, do you know what the meaning of your life is? Do you know what the purpose behind your entire... Probably not. I didn't fucking know when I was 22. It wasn't even close. So it's a little much to ask young men under 30 to formulate their life mission. What I tell younger guys is instead, set your goals like anybody else, but try to attach your goals to some greater long-term purpose and meaning, like I've talked about for the last few minutes of this podcast. Don't just set a goal, I want a Lamborghini because I want hot girls, okay, or whatever the hell. I want to be a dentist because I want to impress my dad. Don't do that. Real purpose and meaning behind your big goals, or else switch the goal, okay? So that still applies to you if you're a young guy, all right? If you're 30 or over, I'm sorry, no excuses, you need to have a mission. Sorry. You need to sit down and think through, why do I work? What motivates me at a deep core spiritual level in my life? Now, if you say, I don't know, you need to think harder. And it's hard. It'll take time. It took quite a while for me to formulate my mission, although I didn't have the techniques that you have. You get the Unchained Man book at alphamalebook.com. There's an entire chapter of very specific techniques on how to find your mission. You may not completely get your mission 100% from that chapter, but you'll get 80% there, and maybe over the next few weeks you can refine things, and that's okay. But you need to do this. I don't see how a man can be long-term happy without a mission. I don't see it. Nor do I know of any long-term happy men. What few I know, most men are not long-term happy. That includes Alpha Male 1.0, certainly. They're not happy long-term. They're happy sometimes, but they're not happy long-term. But the men that I know who are long-term happy and been long-term happy for decades like me, what few I know, all of them have missions. All of them. Now, they may not call it a mission. They may use different wording for it, but they have a purpose that is very clear that they can clearly define for you. And that includes especially the older men, the men who I look up to, who live amazing lives. They have strong purpose and strong meaning behind all of their goals. Sometimes it's a spiritual mission or a religious mission. Sometimes it's a family-based mission. Sometimes. Sometimes it is a business mission. Sometimes it's a give back to the world mission. Sometimes it's an artistic mission. Sometimes it's a weird esoteric mission. Every guy is different. You heard mine. That's for me. Don't copy it. Find your own fucking mission. Or else you'll be really unhappy if you follow my mission, but you get my point. And so your job, if you don't have a mission, if you're age 30 or higher, your mission is to find your mission. That's your mission. And if you're younger than 30, your mission is to uncover this by the time you are 30. So let that be your deadline. You don't have to worry about it now. If you're 26, you don't have to worry about a mission now, but it needs to be on your mind. When you hit 30, you should know or have a pretty good idea of what you want to do. Now, can you change your mission over time? Slightly. If you radically change your mission, it was never your mission. And I could give you many examples of internet famous personalities who had one mission and then ran into some kind of midlife crisis and then completely transformed into a different mission. And these are dysfunctional people. Moreover, I can't trust you. If you suddenly do a 180, if you spend 10 years, 15 years, 20 years saying something, and then one day you say, you know what, everything I've been saying for the last 15 years is wrong. Now I'm going to say this, and now you should listen to me saying this. I can never trust you because you're insane. You're a ship without a rudder. You're a ship without a sail. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. So no. So you can't radically change your mission. You can tweak it over time. I've certainly changed mine over time, tweaked it, but I haven't changed it to something else. My mission at its core is pretty much the same as it was that day, that fateful day when I was about 33 years old. So that was what? How long ago was that? 17 years ago? It's pretty much at the core the same thing. Matter of fact, a lot of the mission, my mission, is the same as it was when I was in high school, when I was 15 years old, thinking about my life. A lot of those aspects are in my modern day mission. Because when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, my goal in life, my purpose, I didn't really have a purpose, but my 15-year-old version of a purpose was to be the ultimate man I could be in all the areas. So when I was in high school, I watched the nerds, okay? And I saw the nerds and they were really, really smart, but they were weak and or they were fat. So they were little teeny tiny skinny guys, really ugly, and or they were overweight. And I said, okay, it's cool that they're smart. It's not cool that they're weak. That doesn't work. So then I would look at the jocks, okay? The popular guy, the jocks, okay? And they were not weak. They had big, strong bodies. And they were very physically fit, very fitness-oriented, great. But they were idiots. And I don't mean just in IQ. They were idiots in terms of their actions. They would just spend the weekends doing stupid shit, getting into car accidents and smoking weed, doing dumbass shit. And, and they were dumb. They were just fucking stupid. I said, okay, it's cool that they're physically strong, but it's pretty bad that they're stupid. So I want to be the man who has both. I want to be physically strong. I want a strong, healthy body, and I want to be smart. I wanted both those things. Now, I've expanded that, but that's a big core of my mission as the man who is the ideal example of long-term masculine happiness. So happiness, financially, in business, with physical health, and with relationships. I'm covering all the bases there. That's pretty much what I came up with when I was in high school. I'm still doing this. It's still part of my purpose in my 50s. Okay, so that tells me I'm on the right track for myself. Now you may say, but Caleb, I don't have any purpose, or I don't know what I want for my life. I don't fucking know. And you're 15 and you knew that. I don't know shit. You don't have to know right now. Most likely, if you're saying that, you're under the age of 30, and that's okay. Just be aware that day is coming. If you're over the age of 30 and you're saying that, you've got a problem, in my view, and you need to take some time, sit down, get out a piece of paper and a pencil or a blank Word document and start writing out what makes sense to you in terms of your purpose. And again, go to alphamalebook.com if you haven't yet, alphamalebook.com. Buy The Unchained Man. The ebook is $7. No excuses. I don't care how poor you are, what country you live in, you can afford $7 US. And read that book, that chapter on mission, and it will help you uncover this. It won't do it for you, but it'll help you. You'll be a lot closer when you go through that chapter. This is, in some respects, the number one most important thing that I teach. And I teach a lot of different topics, don't I? Alpha Male 2.0, as an umbrella to many other topics, covers a lot of things. I mean, Sovereign CEO is just one leg of Alpha Male 2.0. Alpha Male 2.0 covers a lot of areas, doesn't it? It's not just getting laid, okay? It's not just being happy. That's a component of it. It's not just freedom. It's not just location dependent. It's all those things, right? It's mission. It's all those things. There you go. And a lot of that's not going to be workable long-term for you if you don't have a mission. Yes, it's hard, but here's the bottom line for this of it being hard. There's no rush. Take your time. If it takes you 6 months to figure out your mission, fine. Go ahead and take the 6 months. If it takes you a year and a half to fully flesh out your mission, fine. Take the year and a half and do it. Put in the time and effort, write out a mission, use those exercises, and then kind of put it aside. And then maybe every weekend, pull it back out, check it out, reread it, see how you feel. And that's the way you have to do this. You got to kind of feel your subconscious and feel your own soul. You just kind of read your mission and you just ask yourself, how does that make me feel? Do I read my mission and go, yes? By the way, that's how you know you have a mission, a good mission. You read the whole mission and your whole being, not just your logical brain. Yes, I want to make money. No. Your whole being, your heart, your gut, your soul says, yes. When it does that, you're onto something. You may have it. If you say, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, okay, then you have more work to do. Maybe you take this part out. Maybe you add another. That means you have some of it. You're on your way, but you're not there yet. You have to edit, add, delete, modify, okay? Don't make the excuse of don't doing this because it's hard. Because I get a lot of emails, it's just so hard. Yeah, I know. Now, again, I'm giving you an out if you're under 30. Under 30, don't worry about it. Just be aware of your purpose, okay? Of a general purpose. That's it. I will see you in the next podcast. But think about this and actually do it. If you've never spent time doing your mission, working on this, please do that. It's the greatest gift you can give yourself. I'll see you in the next podcast.